When you picture a perfect reef, colorful coral, schools of frisky fish, a whole cast of charismatic creatures, those are the reefs of Raja Ampat. Coral reefs occupy less than 1% of the world's oceans, but support 25% of all marine life.
Coral reefs are important because they're like the cities of the ocean. They provide a lot of habitat for hundreds and thousands of species to live and thrive.
But unfortunately, not all the reefs here paint such a pretty picture.
All right, so this dive is actually just right around the corner here. It's at the exit to the Wayag Lagoon. This area
With steep cliffs and a strong current, this place is ideally suited for a reef. At least it should be.
So I think that the tide is probably coming to the end of dropping, but if it's dropping, it's still going to be coming around this way. And we will eventually get to where you'll see some of the old bomb damages.
During the last century, a growing appetite for fish on the world market pushed the reefs of Raja Ampat to the brink. Fishers tried every means possible to catch fish, including using bombs.
Bomb fishing is something which started in Indonesia right after World War II. And it's basically a simple way to catch lots of fish. When they're all aggregated and feeding, you throw a bomb into the middle of them. 2, 3, go!
This reef should be teeming with life. Instead, much of the coral here is gone. A city of the sea left flattened and featureless.
So we saw these craters and these rubble fields. That's from bomb fishing. So it's a way to fish, get lots of fish quickly, but also a way to kill the reef that sustains the fish.
It's the most destructive fishing technique that we have in Southeast Asia.
It's essentially a one-time fishing technique, one time only, and then you can't fish anymore.
And if you do it enough in a place, you're talking about 50, 100, 200 years to recovery.
200 years? Why does it take so long? Well, to answer that, we need to know how a reef is formed in the first place. That starts with coral itself.
A coral is what we call a modular organism. So a coral actually exists with hundreds of different individual polyps that make up the coral animal.
Individual coral polyps can reproduce asexually. That means they clone themselves, creating a colony. Some corals can also form a kind of skeleton made of calcium carbonate, layer by layer as they grow.
So we generally call those hard corals. And those are so important because they provide a lot of the reef structure that other organisms can live on. On a coral reef, we can have sponges, we can have hard corals, we can have soft corals, we can have giant clams, we can have encrusting rocks with lots of different types of algae. So a coral reef is actually a composite of thousands of different species, and it's one of the most biodiverse ecosystems on the planet.
But reef-building corals grow slowly, very slowly. Some corals grow less than 1 centimeter per year. It can take thousands of years for an entire reef to form. So how can we help these reefs recover? Well, the first thing we can do is simply give them a chance. Starting in the early 2000s, conservationists worked with local communities to establish marine protected areas.
Basically, we've tried to remove all the other stressors. Certainly no more bomb fishing going on. This is now a no-take area, so there's no fishing happening here, which allows it to recover quicker as well.
As we take a closer look at the bomb site, its clear efforts are paying off. New life has already begun to take hold. And if we want to help speed things up a bit, there's something else we can do. It's called coral gardening, and it's just like it sounds.
You plant little corals. What does that do? Why do you do that?
When you pick up the small fragments and you jab it into a stable ground, it allows it to cement itself into the ground and then allows it to grow without being toppled over by the current again.
So it's exactly like planting a garden, and you have to make sure that they root and then they go to the sunlight. Is that what you try to do?
Yeah, basically. I don't really have a green thumb on land. I guess I have a blue thumb.
I mean, I would just say, if you give life a chance, it will recover amazingly.
I used to think that if you see a site that was completely bomb-fished and completely rubble, it'll take 50 to 100 years to recover. But as you can see, it only took 20 years, and that's not very long. And the fuel for that speedy recovery is Raja Ampat's incredible biodiversity.
But ecosystems can adapt and grow and recover if they are resilient. The key ingredient to resilience is biodiversity. The more species, the more genetic variation, the more habitat diversity we have in a system, the more likely it is to adapt to change and to thrive in the face of change.
It has worked to become that pristine in the last 20 years. There was bomb fishing, there was overfishing, there was shark finning. And to have a place that's so damaged to come back and looking like that, that is the most hopeful thing that you can see.